E.T. phone home. Right, if you didn't get that big hint from my introduction, the film I'm going to be talking about today is Cowboys and Aliens. Now I'll apologize right off the bat because I've got a little bit of a frog in my throat from bellowing earlier today, so I sound a little bit hoarse, but I wanted to get this done while the excitement was on me. The film is, like I said, Cowboys and Aliens, and I think it's a brilliant film. Now this isn't an unboxing. I'm going to mention the Blu-ray, and I'm going to mention the contents, which is not anything really to write home about except for the special features, which I'll talk about later. Now, Cowboys and Aliens was a film I was really excited about because it's a cross-genre blending of two different film genres which I adore, and which when you think about are the exact same genre. It's a blending of Western and science fiction. And science fiction, folks, by any other name, is a Western set in space. So, to me, it was a win-win. Now, critics, for some reason, almost universally panned this film. Every one of them saying, I expected so much more. I don't get that. What were you expecting? Darth Vader to come in on an Arabian stallion and cut people's heads off with a lightsaber? I mean, come on, get real. This was a great film. I think part of the reason why they were so desperate to pan it was because the pedigree that this film had. And by pedigree, I mean the actors and the people that worked on the film. Let's start out with the producers. You had Ron Howard and Steven Spielberg. I mean, folks, it don't get much better than that. The director, I had not heard of much before as a director. I knew him as a comic actor, and that's Jon Favreau. Now, Jon Favreau is a large, portly chap who's very good at doing comic roles in films. He did a brilliant job as a director. He really made it count. He did a good job. No fault there. The actors in the film. Yeah, Daniel Craig, in pretty much what I think was his first foray into the genre of Western as an actor, and he committed no sins. He did very, very well. I was impressed. You had Harrison Ford playing his age. Nice to see Harrison. He did a great job. And Harrison Ford also played against type. I didn't even like his character for about a good 3/4 of the film. He played a bit of a not very nice person. You also had Keith Carradine in a very small role. And I'm just going to digress for a minute. I've had a long love affair with the Carradines for years. Keith, brother of David, who was taken away from us last year, were both sons of Robert Carradine. And Robert Carradine was a brilliant character actor who probably did more westerns than Carter's Got Little Pills. And you can see they got the talent from their dad. Carradine, in this really small role, rocked the socks out of it. Like any other actor who's born into a family legacy of actors, he started cutting his teeth when he was a child, and as he's gotten older, he's done two things. He's gotten to where he can emit believability effortlessly, and he looks like he should be in that time period. So great kudos to the casting of the film to put people in like that just helped round out the entire feel of the film and the era that they were trying to come up with. The big surprise for me was a young actor called Paul Dano. I hope I'm saying his name right. Like, you know, Bookham Dano. Great actor. If you've never seen him in anything else, go and check out the first thing I ever saw him in, which is a film called Little Miss Sunshine. Fantastically great film. If I'm ever depressed, I watch that movie and I soon cheer up because I'm usually on the floor laughing my ass off because it's a brilliant, brilliantly funny film. He plays a teenage boy in this wildly dysfunctional family who doesn't speak for about a good 75% of the film because he hates his family. And hey, we've all been there before as teenagers. Great actor in that, Paul Dano. He was fantastic in Cowboys and Aliens. Bottom line is, I didn't recognize him. I had to watch him for 15 minutes or so, scratching my head going, who is that kid? And I finally turned to my daughter and say, why does he look so familiar? And she had to tell me that it was the same guy from Little Miss Sunshine. This was definitely his first foray into the Western film genre, and he did a fantastic job. Great little find there in the film, and great job of casting. The one burr under my saddle about the whole film was Olivia Wilde's character. I love Olivia Wilde. I think she's a brilliant actress. And she also brings something to the screen when she does anything, and that's sort of an other world, other being sort of essence that she manages to portray on film. If you don't believe me, watch her in Tron Legacy. She was brilliant in that. And I'm not saying she wasn't brilliant in this, but her character felt tacked on. Like they decided she should be maybe a love interest for Daniel Craig. That just never really quite reached fruition. But either way, it wasn't until the last 10% of the film that I realized she wasn't tagged on, or tacked on even. She did have a specific role, but it could have been done by anyone. And she just didn't really fit. Now I know part of that was on purpose because you had to think she didn't fit. But hey, it just didn't feel right. So guys, stop doing this thing with the women where you put them in to make them possible love interests. It's not needed. The special effects were made by Stan the Man Winston's company, Legacy, which I think is a brilliant name for his company because Stan the Man Winston was a legacy. He's the guy that brought us effects from Terminator 2 amongst many, many others. And they didn't disappoint. The creatures looked fantastic. The whole storyline was great. It was one of my favorite type films. It's a film that started out being one sort of film and then suddenly turned into another one. I love films like that. From Dusk Till Dawn is probably the best example I can think of, where a film started out being one thing and then turned into something completely different. I love the twist of films that do that, and I just can't get enough of them. I just want to say I'm not going to show a trailer for this because they're available all over the internet. They're available on YouTube, and they're all pretty much the same trailer. What I am going to say about the Blu-ray really, really quickly is I've got the triple play. And if you look, it says in real big letters, triple play, which means you can play it on your computer, you can play it on a regular DVD, or you can play it on your Blu-ray. And again, like I said, there's nothing spectacular in here. You just got a couple of discs, and you got your codes, obviously, for transfer to your PC, right there. If you can see that. So again, nothing to really write home on. It's not like, I guess the phrase is blue steel. It's not a really fantastic deal. What's fantastic about it, and anybody that's ever watched any of my videos will know, I adore Blu-ray mainly for one reason, and that is the featurettes. There are a load of featurettes on this Blu-ray edition of making of documentaries. I mean, if you don't have things like that, how else are you going to know that Jon Favreau wore what seemed to be a different hat every day for filming? I mean, this guy must have more cowboy hats than I do, and I've got a lot. They're all things that make a movie geek like me feel part of the process. Okay, it's way after the fact, but you're able to see how they did the stunts. You're able to see what thought went into things, and how the actors felt about working with the people they worked with and working on the film. And it just really makes it special. To me, that's what makes the extra price of Blu-ray worth it. Okay, great. Blu-ray gives you crisp, clear, perfect picture every time. But unless you're watching a film about a lot of explosions, like, say, Battlefield, Los Angeles or something, a regular DVD will do the job. But Blu-rays normally have a lot more special features in, and that to me is what makes them special, and that's why I like them. So please take notice, Hollywood, of my little tiny channel. When you do Blu-ray, reference Scream 4, do special features, okay? So anyway, that's basically it for this review, except to say I think it's well worth the time, effort, and money that you spend to go watch this thing. I really wanted to see this so desperately at the cinema. It was going to be my birthday present. My daughter was going to take me and see a film. And we went, and there were two films playing, and Cowboys vs. Aliens lost out because I had to wait 2 whole hours to get to see it, Whereas the other film that was playing, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, started right there and then. And I can tell you folks, I wasn't sad to have to watch Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Another fantastic film that I may or may not talk about, because a lot of people have talked about it already. But bottom line is, watch it, especially if you love Westerns, and especially if you love science fiction. Last thing I'm going to say. I'm going to try something new on my channel. My daughter has a YouTube channel, Kawaii Princess 01. A lot of you know her already because she does game reviews. I love games. The other passion that we both share equally, besides games, is we love movies. Specifically, world cinema, i.e. Asian cinema, specifically Asian horror. The next thing I'm probably going to review will be a K-horror, which we managed to get hold of the other day. That's just brilliant. We both loved it. And after we sat around for about an hour and a half talking about it, we thought, you know, we should do this in front of the camera. So we're going to do a joint review. If you guys like it, let me know. We'll do it again. Bye. Take two. And they're shooting fireworks off outside. Hey, let's celebrate.